I'm Zach Sharp, Director of Marketing for Stern Pinball.
And welcome to it. We have been chatting a lot this last year. Y'all have been very busy. And every time I think that y'all, I wonder what you'll do next, you impress me. And quite frankly, with this latest one, I've been going back through so many singles from them. Of course, let's get to it. It's the Rush Pinball Machine, featuring a lot of iconic music, featuring, I actually just got done watching y'all's studio video with Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, which was fantastic to hear. They're actually doing new voice work for this pinball machine.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is the ultimate Rush experience. And like you said, we like to keep our audience on their toes, whether it's Godzilla, Mandalorian, Rush. So, we're offering titles and themes that nobody else on the planet can provide. So I'm glad to hear you're a big Rush fan. They have, I think, the most enthusiastic fan base on the planet. So if you're a Rush fan, you're gonna love this machine. And I'm glad you brought up that video with the kind of back in the studio. So Ed Robertson from the Barenaked Ladies, he's a fellow Hall of Famer for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Canada. And he's a huge pinball fan. And this has just been a passion project, and he had direct ties with Alex and Geddy. So he was in the studio with them, kind of directing them, because they're not, crazy familiar with pinball, but Ed is. So he was able to kind of guide them on, this is really important for custom speech to be, animated and doing multiple takes. And just the band, they were so collaborative. There's 16 iconic songs in this, and a funny story, but Ed, Alex, and Geddy were trying to go through the entire Rush catalog of, what are really good songs that would lend itself well to a pinball experience. And separately, individually, they came up with 20 of their, top tracks that they think would lend themselves well for pinball. Lo and behold, they compared lists. 15 out of the 20 songs were the same across all three of their lists. And then Ed had some influence on the 16th song. So to say that the band picked the best songs is an understatement.
It is quite an incredible list you got here. It's interesting. You have to have Tom Sawyer. You have to have Freewill, Limelight. Those are things that, it would be whack if they weren't there. But you also have some interesting picks here, like Working Man, Far Cry, which was from one of their very late albums, and Subdivisions, and stuff that people don't immediately call to mind when they think of Rush music.
Yeah, like I said, they wanted to pick, the most banging songs for a pinball experience. Of course, there's going to be songs I'm sure that fans are like, oh, I really wish that was on it. But let me tell you, the band is thrilled with what they chose. So if you don't like it, then you are against Alex and Geddy. So.
And you mentioned that you had sort of an end with this with the Barenaked Ladies, but is there more to when you really think about it, there have been so many iconic bands in pinball lately, throughout the years. You have Kiss, you have Led Zeppelin. There has never been a Rush pinball machine. No,
you think about all the music games that, we've created. That's usually the first and only time a band can be on a pinball machine, just because, we are the leading manufacturers of pinball machines. So whether it's Metallica, AC/DC, you mentioned Kiss, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, and now Rush. And it's kind of like a badge of honor that you've really made it as a musical artist when you are on a pinball machine. So it was awesome to work with the band. We're really thankful for Ed Robertson's involvement in, kind of bringing his dream theme to life.
How did you was it through Ed Robertson that you got in touch with Rush, or how did this deal come to be?
Yeah, Ed kind of brought it up, and, internally, John Borg, who's the game designer, he's a huge Rush fan, and it just kind of got brought up. Ed talked to our director of licensing, was just like, hey, I've got a contact over at Rush, is it okay if we kind of start discussions of potentially doing a pinball machine off the band. It's like, yeah, let's talk, because I think the best product is when everyone is involved, and you can tell the passion from not only our design team, but when the band is integrated into it, like, with the custom speech, exclusive concert footage, which a lot of people have never seen, is incorporated. I mean, it is truly a Rush concert in a box.
The design of the board itself too is interesting, because I can see a big theme of this was the Time Machine tour that they did.
Yep.
Can you speak a little bit of the gameplay and props that are used in this table?
Yeah, so the big featured toy is that Time Machine. So it's a custom sculpted electromagnetic ball lock. So when you shoot through that time machine, a magnet will catch it in midair, and it can either throw the ball back at you or feed it around the back to an upper right flipper. And you're essentially traveling through time with the band, and it's going along with the music. You're collecting records, combo shots, so it really integrates well into the music, whether it's a Far Cry multi-ball or Fly By Night multi-ball, Tom Sawyer. There's just so many multi-balls and wizard modes that it just incorporates with whatever song that you're playing. So at the start of a ball, it's kind of cool that a player will be able to choose whichever song they want to play as almost like background music. But when you start a special feature, it might change to, Bastille Day or Red Barchetta, based on whatever multi-ball or mode you're in.
For sure. And as always, y'all are featuring 3 different versions of this, between the Pro, the Premium, and the Limited Edition. Can you speak to the differences in the game between those boards?
Yeah, so on the Premium and LE, the custom time machine has a raising ramp. So on the Pro, it's just kind of static. You're always shooting it up into the time machine. But on the Premium and LE, that ramp is lit up on the sidewalls and the floor, and it can raise up. So you're either hitting like a metal target or it will raise up. And then what's really cool on the Premium and LE is there's a Clockwork Angels clock on the left-hand side, and it's inspired from Neil Peart's bass drum. So it's a nice little subtle nod to his iconic bass drum, and it actually keeps track of time. So you can see that the hand on the clock moves around, and when you're in the game, it can change values of jackpot shots based on its position. But during attract mode, it actually keeps track of your time. Like it's 11 o'clock, and that minute hand will move.
It has always been very cool to me how y'all blend like the themes of the topic that you're using for a game with the gameplay elements itself. And I think when we were talking about the Godzilla machine, we talked about that magnetic catch. Y'all are doing that. That was like a first on that particular machine. Are there any firsts that we can expect out of the Rush pinball machine?
Yeah, so on the Premium and LE model, it's a custom multi-scoop subway system. So in the middle of the playfield, you'll see kind of like a front-facing scoop and then a side scoop. And on the Premium and LE models, it can actually lock 2 pinballs in the playfield and spit both balls out from each scoop simultaneously to start a multi-ball. So usually when a ball goes into a scoop, it'll always kick out of the front one. But on this one, it can lock both balls and kick one out sideways and down at the same time to kind of start a multi-ball. So that was a really cool feature. And then I just want to mention on the limited edition model, it includes our expression lighting system, which we started with the Led Zeppelin pinball machine, but on the inside of the cabinet, there's 96 intelligent LED lights, and it's beat matched to the music. And so that comes with the LE game, but it's also available as an accessory for the Pro and Premium model.
And going back to that sort of in the studio thing, it was really interesting to hear, like, not only just the fun and camaraderie with Alex and Geddy have been doing this a extremely long time, but you wouldn't know it from watching them in the studio. They look like they're just happy to be there every day.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was funny just hearing Alex calling Geddy by Geddy, and Geddy feeling weird about it because he's like, he hasn't called me by my full name in 20 years or however long. He's like, they just call each other by nicknames, Geddy Lee. And it was almost like a shock. It's like, whoa, he called me by my name.
Mm-hmm. And like they mentioned, like there was like 800 something lines that they had to do and multiple takes. And that makes me like, that is a lot of content to put into a pinball game. Like thinking even just like how much you would have to play to hear everything they have to say along with all the music. Like, is there a certain point where it becomes like you have to decide what you want to cut from what you've got?
Oh, I mean, sure. I mean, I'm sure there's stuff on the cutting room floor. I mean, you think about all the exclusive concert footage that we have. I mean, it's nearly impossible to, incorporate 200 hours of concert footage, but, the team, chooses and picks the best stuff. And then, you also don't want things to be repetitive. So, say that you're in a mode and you hit a particular shot, it's not going to be the same exact call out every single time. It might be variations or a different speech call out entirely, because you don't want it to be too repetitive, because then it's just going to be the same every single time. So they definitely, there's a wealth of content in the game.
This is also going to feature the Insider Connect system, which it will be built into the game, from what I understand, every single model. So there are going to be like events and sort of like stuff that people can set up on their own once they have this machine, correct?
Yeah, right from the jump. Insider Connected, it's kind of like our Xbox Live for pinball. And, right from the jump, people can earn achievements, keep track of your lifetime scores, compete on leaderboards. And, that is for your, Insider, whether you're basic or all access, which is for the basic, it's free to sign up. And it's super easy. You can put your smartphone on the bottom arch of the game, log into your account, and it'll keep track of everything.
Nice. And this machine is out for order. Like all three versions of the machine are out for order now, correct?
Yes. Pros are shipping all over the world right now. I believe the limited edition is going to start production next week, followed by the premium.